where do you go for your inspiration, or how can you describe someone like what questions to ask or how to like really push those boundaries? I think that's like you've already talked about. I think that's one of the best things that you do is you push boundaries, and you can tell like it's like, oh, that's Ish, because it's completely different than the normal stuff that's out there. And it's not your run of the mill, snatch like finished at the top type photo and stuff like that.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing that drove the creativity too was I remember somebody told me, it's like, oh, you should watermark your stuff. I'm like, nope. I think I always push myself where I'm like, I don't want to do that for what you just said. I'm like, I want people to see it and know it's me. So that was like one of the biggest motivators. I'm like, I will never watermark unless I'm like selling individual, then that's a whole different thing. But aside from that, I think um the creativity part, man, where do I go? I think it's all just from growing up in the era I did. I think I'm lucky enough that I was a 90s kid, so all that inspo comes back to me. And I think seeing things from back then, like skate videos, skate magazines, I think this is one I have actually not many people know, or actually might be the first time I'm going to say it. I look at like throwback magazines from what is it, Thrasher and all those old school magazines. I ordered a bunch of them on eBay, and that's where the inspo comes from for some things that nobody's seen yet, even though it was back then. How do I put my twist on it?
I was gonna
Because
say,
I
hopefully
like,
the Matt Fraser effect, where all of a sudden everybody goes and buys all these Thrasher magazines, and their
yeah,
Adam is
man.
told out.
Man, it's just one of those things. Like, I mean, I used to see these growing up, and it's like that's why I implement all these like point and shoots, all these old cameras, because I'm like, how do I get that look? Get those cameras they were using, like get all those things and make it happen. I think where we're at now, it's easy to convert all these images. So the hardest thing is just finding a camera that works from back then.
Yeah.
So the creativity comes from there. I think little things like that. Obviously doom scrolling on Instagram is always going to be a thing. Just I get inspo from pretty much everything. And sometimes another thing too is like old album art covers. I get inspo from that as well. I grew up heavy on the hip hop era. So my brothers got me into hip hop, and that's always been a thing for me. So that's why all my stuff, music is one thing that I will always focus on too for a post.
Yeah.
And getting inspo from that, and some of these things, honestly, I'm like, it's hard to explain. Some of these things just come from the top of my head too. It's I wish I can be like, this is what it was, and this is what it was, but I think the biggest thing with that is when inspo strikes, I just jot it down, or I literally will run to the computer and put it together right then and there, because
Yeah.
if I don't do it, I'm gonna forget.
I
I
love
think
that.
that's the biggest thing. Yeah, I could be literally at the mall, or anywhere. I could literally be anywhere, and I would randomly like inspo. I'm like, oh damn, that's cool. Boom, 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 boom. Or on my phone, I'll jot the ideas or just something of it, or take a photo of what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
So I wish I can explain it better, but it's hard because it's like it's in my head. Some of these things, it's like I wish I could tell you, man. Like I get so many questions for it.
Yeah. Well, I think you hit on a main point in the idea of getting out of the fitness realm and just being observant as to what's going on around you. So anything can be inspiration. I'm right now, we're in the studio, I'm looking around the studio, and there's like some, you know, different things that are happening here that we have like nostalgic items that you can't see. They're out of the view of like Court Street, which is at Ohio University, which is where my brother went. And like the font that's on there, like, can I incorporate the font into some type of like thing within a video and like the texture
Yeah.
of that image? So like, I get it. That is probably, to your point, it probably isn't teachable. How do you teach creativity? Well, you don't. But I think what you can do is you can offer up questions and you can try to like kind of like poke at someone's mind. Like, hey, like get out of like your thinking right now. Just if you're like really struggling for ideas and you're in there, in my case, video editing. I know you dabble in video editing as well.
A
Uh
little.
in all of that, like if you're struggling for ideas, get outside, get away from the computer, go on a walk, go shopping. I'm not a big shopper. Malls are like closing now. It's really sad. The whole 90s kids thing. We're both 90s kids. It's very sad. I used to
Yeah,
hang out
yeah.
with them all the time. Um, but like stuff like that, just kind of get out there and experience new things and then allow those experiences to then influence what you make. So like what I really like about everything you just hit, and it kind of takes us to our next point about like looking at like your work and stuff that you've I've recently done.